I'm Kara Ray, founder of Ambitious Moms Balancing Business and Babies. I'm a mother, a stepmother to 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife and a proud entrepreneur. I'm a mindset coach specifically for mothers who desire to strip the mom guilt and own their ambition in business and family life. The powerful and uncensored Mompreneur podcast is for the ambitious women and mothers who are ready to rise together and empower one another. Get plugged in each week for unfiltered and uncensored conversations between myself and industry leaders who support you, have unwavering points of view, and empower women to believe in themselves. We will be discussing business, spirituality, energy, strong points of views, manifestation, and what I like to call breaking the stigma topics. Conversations that will no longer be silenced. This is a safe place to reclaim your power of being a woman. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the very first episode of the Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast. I am so grateful to share this space with you guys. I'm extremely grateful for each and every one of you that have subscribed to this podcast, that are tuning in, that are listening, that are sharing this and getting this word out, because this has been a secret project that I've been working on behind the scenes for the past few months now, and I'm finally bringing it to life. And on this podcast, I'll be talking with industry leaders and those who have extremely strong points of views and that want to support you and are there for you. And so this podcast really has a variety of amazing women who are extremely powerful in their own way. And that's exactly what this podcast embodies, is being, powerful and empowering other women to empower each other. And instead of women not working together, this podcast is about women coming together and supporting one another and nurturing each other, growing together and supporting where each of us want to go. And so this first episode is going to be diving into about myself, Kara Ray, your host, and about myself, my journey, and how I got to this point in my life. But first, before we dive into that, in regards to the Powerful and Uncensored Mompreneur podcast, I already mentioned this already in regards to women empowering women. And I am such a firm believer of proximity is power, and having this group of women that I am so extremely close to, and some of them are very virtual, that they have been my sounding board, the women that I go to when I am upset, when I'm fearful, when I am adventurous, when I'm courageous, when I'm, deciding on my next investment, or, just different ideas. These are my women that I go to for advice or just for reassurance. And so I hope that you have a group of women like this that support you, that love you and care about you, because in this podcast, you will be hearing a lot of, strong points of views, but there's also a very large respect for every woman on here that is listening. And this podcast is about breaking stigma conversations too, in regards to postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, and even depression and anxiety in general. Or this has to do with, the choices that we have of our own body, medical choices, mindset choices, business choices, where we want to go in life, becoming an entrepreneur and what that takes. And this is what that embodies. This embodies women empowering women and really taking that power back. And I had said in my intro there, conversations that will no longer be silenced. I am a firm believer on breaking the stigmas and having this open, courageous relationship and conversations where we really dive into, sexuality, your mindset, spirituality. We dive into your strong points of views, business, manifestation, and breaking stigmas. We just dive into masculine, feminine energies. We dive into so many things throughout this podcast that I cannot wait for you to go through. But first, so that you understand a little bit of the background of why this was created, I want to talk about myself and how this started, because I have not always been an entrepreneur. I actually was a paramedic for about 5 years of my life, and then I I got to meet my husband, and my husband is such an amazing, amazing man. He is kind, caring, nurturing, supportive, all around just an amazing human being. And when I met him, we were living in different cities, and we decided that I was going to move to where I live now. And I was going to move in with him, and I was going to change careers and, work at these things because my life and my decisions started to change. I started to want different things. I started believing that my reality of having a family was true. And I had come from divorced parents. My mother and father divorced when I was about 5 years old. And I lived, week on, week off with my parents, and the different rules, the different households, the going back and forth. I had a stepbrother who was also amazing. And it was not always easy, but it was also not always hard. And I went from being the stepchild to now becoming a stepmother. And so now I became, all, when I grew up, I had so much attitude, so much sass, and I had pushed so much in regards to my parents not being together because I fully didn't understand it all. And I didn't understand why they weren't together anymore or what was going on there. And now that I'm older and I'm an adult, my respect for my stepmom has completely grown, and she's become a very solid foundation in my life, like a sounding board, support system. She's become a best friend of mine. And now I am in that position of being a stepmom, and I can relate to her on so many different levels. And I'm not only a stepmom, I'm also a mother. I believe as being a stepmom, a mother, you are a mom. Either way, you're a mom. And now I got to see from her point of view all these different things that she would have gone through when I was younger. And I've been able to rely on her to talk through everything with her. And so that's a little bit about, my husband, my family, because then when I met him, when I moved here, I changed careers and I was working at a medical clinic, and I just didn't feel like this was my end all be all. Like I didn't believe that this was all that I was meant for me in this world. And so I ended up getting pregnant, and which I was very excited about, but I was very judged about how early I was pregnant and in our relationship, because my husband and I, when we had our daughter, when I was pregnant, we'd only been together for about 6 months. We had already been living together for about 3, and we just knew. And I don't know if anybody else who's listening here, just when you met that person, you knew, kind of like on Hotel Transylvania when you zing. I totally zinged with my man, and I just knew that this was my ride or die. He was my forever, and that he was going to rock my world and change it. And he has, and I am now married to this man. And so there was a lot of other people's limiting beliefs to our relationship, or their lack of thinking that this would last. And it has, and it has grown stronger and stronger each day. And so as I was working, and then when I went on mat leave and I finally had my daughter, I thought that I could balance it all. I thought that I could be a stepmom and I could take care of 2 older kids, and that I could have a newborn and my husband could be working out of town, and that I could just do this all by myself. And I had these magical key answers. Well, I didn't. And as a lot of women actually go through this. A lot of moms have gone through postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety. And I didn't know how many women actually struggled with this until I struggled with it and was open about it. And so many more women came pooling in and talking to me about the struggles that they have gone through. And I realized, well, actually, I didn't realize for a couple of months, because when I had gone through it, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was an emotional roller coaster that I don't wish upon anyone. I used to scream at my daughter, my tiny, precious little baby, because I was so exhausted, and everything that was going on mentally was just so far gone. And I had seeked out the proper help to get myself to this point, and to get myself much better, to be present for my family and for my children and everything that had happened. And it was a journey and a half. And so once I came, above it all and worked through everything, I realized that there were so many women that were struggling with this alone, that felt like this was something that couldn't be talked about. I even had talked to some of my family members, and they said, oh, well, when we were younger, this was nothing that we could ever talk about. It was nothing that we could bring up. And that's one of the biggest stigmas, is not being able to talk about postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. But why? Why can't this be talked about? It should be talked about. This is something that women should feel comfortable coming forward with and seeking out this, well, a support system or advice or the next steps to go. And so I I decided I decided that I needed some self-development, and I needed to get myself back to where I felt confident with myself. And I wasn't exactly sure how to do that. And I'd been following my personal coach for probably only about a month, when I just knew in my gut that this was the decision that I needed to make, that I needed to work with her. No matter what, I was going to work with her. And I didn't know why. And at that time, I was still a part of a network marketing company that I still love, but I didn't feel like it was my actual calling. I felt like it was something that was helping our family. And yes, it was great. It was fun, but it wasn't something that I was completely ambitious about. It wasn't something that I was completely 100% passionate about. And so when I realized that, and I realized that it wasn't something I was passionate about, I had got on a call with her, and then I hired her. I had talked to my husband, and I said, this is something I need to do. I don't know what it is, but I need to do it. And he had my back, and he supported me, and he said, yeah, I'm all in. Let's do this together. And so I hired her. And at first we were just kind of talking about my network marketing company. And then she asked me the question, like, do you believe this is all that you can do? Because you have such a strong voice. You're so empowering. And I believe that this is not just all you want to do. And she brought that out in me, these slow things, these slow steps of self-development, self-care, really knowing what I wanted to do and my pain points and what I had gone through in my life and the messages that I had that I wanted to bring to other women. And that's when I decided I wanted to step into the coaching industry, and that I wanted to become a full-time entrepreneur and really serve women at a higher level, and especially moms. I am personally a mindset coach that helps moms strip the mom guilt and own their ambition between business and family life. I I founded a Facebook community called Ambitious Moms Balancing Business and Babies, because there is this guilt that sometimes moms feel in regards to putting that time into their business, to putting that time into themselves, because they feel that they're not putting enough into their children. But I have firmly learned, and I firmly believe, that you need to fill up your cup to be able to show up for your family, for you to show up for your kids, because your children have not learned yet how to, what's the word I'm looking for? They have not learned how to fill their own cup. Like, we know how to read a book or to journal or to go for a walk or to make ourselves a bubble bath. Our kids haven't learned that yet. Our kids haven't learned that they can go out and, reset and feel better about these things all by themselves. What they require touch by you, your energy. They require, time spent, and that all requires your energy. And so you need to be able to fill your cup and be your best and at your top game, so you can show up there and then show up for your business and show up for your spouse. And so it requires you to take care of yourself. And I knew that there were so many moms that were struggling with this overwhelm of wanting to have a business, but weren't sure how to balance it. And they were feeling guilty and feeling torn about taking that time away. And I realized that I actually wasn't taking that time away. I was taking that time for me, which in turn, I was able to show up 10 times stronger for my kids. I'm now spending more time with them than I ever thought imaginable, and I'm still balancing my business very well, and it is thriving and it is growing, and I'm in this such a creative stage that it is possible. And I'm here to empower women and tell them that they can take this power back within themselves, that they can take care of themselves, and they can show up and do the damn thing exactly how they want to. And so that's a little bit of that side of the background. And, when I was younger too, my mother, she was also a business coach. And I remember sitting there on the couch, listening to her talk with these men and these women and empower them and watch them succeed and move through their money mindsets and have these exponential businesses and coach them through that. And that was really inspiring to me. I remember going to these events with my mom where she would stand up in a crowd and everybody would be looking at my mother because she would be giving a powerful speech. And that was something that I strived for, that I desired to have in my life, was to be able to empower women to stand up for, my beliefs, and to talk about topics that aren't necessarily always talked about, that people feel like they can't be, but they can be. And to remind every woman that's listening to this, that whether you're a mother, whether you're not a mother, you are still deserving of an absolute abundant life, and you can create that for yourself. It starts with you believing in yourself. It starts with you taking that power back and owning that yourself. And yes, that took time. I didn't just, go all in here and decide that I knew every answer, I did make this big decision. I guess, I did make the big decision to go all in and, make the investments and figure it out. But I also asked the questions. And instead of me trying to sit here and worry about it and do it all on my own, I hired someone who knew what to do. And she didn't have the answers. I had the answers. And that's also what I'm here for, is that I can help guide you through the things that I've gone through. But I'm here to remind you that I can help you guide through what I've walked through, but you have the answers for yourself and for your success. It is within you. You just have these blocks up that we can get through. And so within this podcast, we're going to be talking to industry leaders that will be talking to you about their business, their successes, their failures, different energies, manifestation, and all these different areas that they've put together. And one big one is self-development, about how they compiled all these things to grow themselves, to grow their business, to nurture their audience, to grow like, know, and trust, and to just build up themselves. I was so blown away by how empowering I could feel about this, where, a year ago, I was not the same woman, and I could not imagine if I didn't say yes to myself, if I didn't say yes to making this investment in myself and hiring my coach. I don't know where I'd be at this moment. I don't know where my confidence would be, my relationship, because I was at such a different stage then, and there was something that I needed. And so if I had said no, I couldn't imagine that, because all these things that I've done now, the women that I've met, the relationships I've created, the collaborations, the creativity, the work that's come through has been through, networking, talking to people, hiring, and just really having those women in my corner push me to be everything I've always wanted to be. And they've reminded me that this has always been inside of me, that I had the power to unleash it, but they supported me. And so I hope that in this podcast, you're able to, just become comfortable with these conversations, become open to receive these conversations, the information that we'll be talking about, to really dive in and look at it in your point of view, but just be open-minded. Some of this information you're going to take and some of it you're going to leave, and that is 100% okay. But this podcast is created to empower women and for you to take that power back, because I firmly believe that you can. And, I have a family and I have a business and I work from home and I work from a coffee shop, and it has been such a wild ride. I have talked to women all around the world, from the UK to the United States. I live in Canada, and it is incredible, the women that I'm meeting who are so ambitious. And so if you are ready to dive in some more and you feel like you jive with this energy, then I am so, so excited to have you here, to welcome you into this podcast, because these episodes are going to be so extremely juicy. That's so much content. They are incredible. The relationships that I have with a lot of these women is outstanding, and they are just some incredible individuals who have so much to say that I believe needs to be heard. And so once again, I am so grateful to have all of you here in this space. We talked about all the different things we'll be discussing. Jeez, this is why it's called Uncensored, you guys, because discussing, not disgusting. Oh my goodness. And so who I am, why I became an entrepreneur, what I was inspired by, what I was working at before. This has been a work in progress. This has been messy action. This has been going all in. This has been, walking through fear. That was something too that I wanted to mention, was you can either live in faith or fear. You cannot live in both. You can either live in this lack or scarcity, or you can live in this abundance. And I choose to live in abundance, and I choose to live in faith. Whatever you believe in, this podcast is open to that. Okay. This podcast is open to that. And I put in here that it's uncensored because sometimes we do swear in here. We're very open. It's natural. It's unfiltered. I don't block things out. It goes through. It's natural conversations that I have with these women. And so if this is something that you feel you jive with, then I'm so, so excited to share this space with you. I'm so excited for you to learn from these leaders. I'm so excited for you to dive in, and I can't wait. Make sure that you take a look at that workbook that has been sent to you, because it is incredible, and follow along with the first couple episodes here, because there is some good things for you to work through. And on that note, guys, I'm going to see you guys in the next episode. So if you're listening to this day or night, I hope you've had the most amazing day or amazing evening, or whatever it is. I hope you're having the most beautiful day. And thank you so, so, so much. Bye, guys. See you in the next episode.